So we've got some NFT drama. Court refuses to dismiss insider trading case against former OpenSea executive. So basically, the former head of product was indicted earlier this year on allegations of insider trading and more. And he was also charged with wire fraud and money laundering. He filed a motion to dismiss the charges in August, arguing there wasn't enough evidence to support a money laundering charge and that he didn't misappropriate info. He also argued that he couldn't be charged with wire fraud, but also couldn't be charged with insider trading because NFTs he allegedly traded were neither securities/commodities. Again, this is where the SEC has failed us. On Friday, judge denied the motion. And the judge also said that this evidence should be presented before a jury rather than a dismissal motion. A couple other interesting things about this story. The gentleman that was indicted also argues that his Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights were violated. An attorney said the FBI agents didn't read his Miranda rights to him before questioning or collecting evidence, which is going to be very, very important for this case, in my personal opinion. We've seen people in the past in other industries get off because they weren't read their Miranda rights. I actually want to toss this one over to Adam and get his take.
Thanks, Wendy. Yeah, so I think it's an interesting story, certainly. And it is something where like a number of agencies look like they're wanting to set precedent with it. One of the interesting things about this is that although this is an insider trading case in many ways, he hasn't actually been charged with insider trading. And that was one of the things that the judge said about it, was that, you know, there are you're looking at the press release effectively that the DOJ put out about this, and it says insider trading in there, but you haven't actually been charged with insider trading, which is kind of an interesting distinction and kind of goes to the point here, is that they want this to look like this is an NFT insider trading case and sets precedent along those lines, but actually they've charged him with things that are much more mundane than that. I'm interested to watch how this goes, but I have kind of low expectations in terms of Nate's ability to kind of get out of this situation. Seems like he's being targeted, and they usually get the people that they target, unfortunately, in this day and age. Zach, up to you.
Yeah, just nodding vigorously. I mean, yes, this was certainly an ethical lapse by Mr. Chastain, but I also do agree that this is being thought of as, you know, a precedent setting, an example setting case, right? You can't take advantage of your position within a major platform and profit off of that without getting slapped down by regulators, right? Who protect the free and fair markets in the US, right? So that's what this is trying to be. So I think that, Adam, you're right. Optically, what is desired by the prosecution is a pretty clear slam dunk that sets a precedent and makes an example in this instance. But again, these questions are thorny, right? It's not just sort of like lawyers trying to wiggle out of these things. It is important that these categories don't neatly map onto each other, right? Existing securities regulation and law doesn't necessarily always doesn't always necessarily neatly map over to this weird new world of NFTs and NFT trading. So I think whether or not that gets sussed out in court, I don't know, but obviously this is moving forward, so there's going to be more opportunities for the lawyers to debate it. Going to be interesting to see how it pans out. Jen, I'm going to toss it to you.
Yeah, I agree with what everyone has said. I think it's going to be hugely precedent setting when this goes to trial. I thought it was really interesting that the judge said prosecutors may not actually be able to prove that money laundering and wire fraud had happened, but the judge wanted to see it go before a jury. I think the defending lawyers are going to have an uphill battle against them, you know, explaining to a jury how all of this works, why it works, why it doesn't fit into the current frameworks of regulation. And it's just going to be an uphill battle. I don't know how you can educate a jury to that level, to that magnitude with such unclear regulations and get a unanimous decision on something. And so it's unfortunate that it's going to be precedent setting, because I don't think that this is the way to get good regulation.
Yeah, so jumping in here, I think that one of the challenges that I see for Chastain is specifically in trying to explain those complexities in a way that makes it so that the jury is less likely to convict him versus more likely to convict him. Because I think, again, the complexity actually works in favor of the prosecution in this particular circumstance. Again, juries oftentimes have a kind of, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then we're just going to call it a duck, even if it's not a duck at all. And that may in fact be kind of what this is if the prosecution draws a close enough analog to here's how insider trading looks in a traditional space, here's how it looks here, at least as far as what we're saying, even though we're not charging him with insider trading, you should just convict him of these things because it's the same thing. That I think is kind of the thing that they need to avoid. So those technical arguments around Miranda rights, all of that stuff, those are going to be key in terms of making sure that, like we'll be able to tell pretty quickly how this is going to go, I think, based on that. Wendy?
I just want to add, I wonder how they're going to pick the jury. Like, I've had to, I guess, audition for jury duty before. And some of the questions that they ask might be interesting. Like, do you hold NFTs? Do you trade cryptocurrency? Do you hold coin XYZ? Like, they're going to have to pick people that have some sort of knowledge about the cryptocurrency industry, but also are not maybe participating in it because there could be some bias there.
I love that you called it auditioning for jury duty. You made it sound so glamorous.
It's so glamorous when you're in LA, though. Oh my God.
Yeah, we're auditioning for jury duty.